Into IT by Laura Miller. Penguin Kids Level 5. Copyright Pearson Education Limited 2014. Cyberspace. Some people say bigger is better. What do you say? In information technology, usually called IT, it is often the opposite. Smaller things are better because you can carry them easily. Most people want to have an IT device in their pocket. Why? Because an IT device can take you to cyberspace, the world of information. Information technology lets you store information in cyberspace and helps you to communicate across cyberspace. Cyberspace is a virtual world. This means that you cannot touch it or feel it. You can only see it through an IT device. Computers and smartphones are IT devices, and they take you to cyberspace by going online. To go online, they connect to the Internet. The Internet is a network of millions of computers which can share information. When you connect to the Internet, your life online in cyberspace can begin. Life online. Do you spend time online during the week or at the weekend? Maybe your family has a computer at home. Or maybe you use a computer at school. If you go online, what do you do? Do you send and read emails? Maybe you talk to friends and family in another country. Some people like to watch videos or listen to music online. Other people study or look at photos. There are so many things to do online. You can find out what the weather is like online without looking outside. You can read the news without buying a newspaper. You can watch a film without going to the cinema and read a story without opening a book. To do all these things online, you must visit different websites. Websites are pages of information, and there are millions of websites in cyberspace. Altogether, they are called the World Wide Web, WWW. The World Wide Web is wonderful for shopping online. You can buy clothes, food, cameras, just about anything without leaving home. This is very helpful for people with disabilities who cannot walk or drive easily to the shops. All online shops are websites, and every website has a web address which starts with www. To go to a website, you go to its web address. We use search engines to find web addresses. Search engines can help you to find anything on the World Wide Web. For example, students can find out more about their school subjects online. The World Wide Web has an answer for most questions. Google is a famous search engine. Many people say that they are Googling when they are looking for something on the World Wide Web. Did you Google anything today? Think about your life online. What did people do before they had the Internet? Then and now. People lived without the Internet for a long time. IT is a new science. It is less than 100 years old. The Internet is younger. Most people only started to go online in the 1990s. But storing and sharing information is nothing new. People started to do it when they started to write. about 5,000 years ago. Today, we just store and share information in different ways. I found a book at the library. What's a library? In the past, people wrote books by hand. This took a long time. There was usually only one copy of each book, so people looked after books very carefully in a few important libraries. Later, people printed books, and there were more copies and more libraries. More people learnt to read, and they borrowed books from the libraries. Libraries stored information, so people with questions went to libraries. Today, people go online. The Internet is now the world's biggest library. Which is easier, writing or touching something? In the past, people could only write letters by hand with a pen or pencil on paper. Later, they could use a typewriter. Letters travel in paper envelopes with stamps. They usually take days to arrive. IT changed everything. Today, you can text on mobile phones, email on computers, or text and email from a smartphone. You only have to touch the screen, and your text arrives seconds after you send it. IT also changed how we speak to people. Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone in 1876. Before this, you could only talk to a person who was close enough to hear you. Early telephones had wires. Most people only started to carry mobile phones in the 1990s. But calling people in other countries was expensive. Then came Skype. Now we can call for free on the Internet. There are many more examples of how IT changed our lives. It changed how we work with numbers and how we listen to music. And it changed how we remember what people look like. IT is also changing, all the time. IT devices are getting smaller and faster, and they can do more and more. A smartphone today can be a camera, a book, and a torch. And that's just the start. What will it be tomorrow? The history of IT. Before we look at IT's future, let's study its history. History is full of firsts. In 1964, Jerry Mock became the first woman to fly round the world. In 1969, Neil Armstrong became the first man on the moon, and IT helped them. Jerry had a radio to help her to communicate from her plane. Neil used a computer called an AGC. But what was the first computer? And what did it look like? In 1941, Konrad Zuse built the Z3 computer in Germany. It helped the Germans to build strong plane wings. In the same year, the ABC computer helped scientists to answer maths problems in the USA. Tommy Flowers built Colossus in 1943. This computer helped the Allies to win the Second World War by reading Germany's secret communications. The name of this computer means very, very big. Was it a good name? In 1946, John Maunchley and John Eckert built ENIAC. This computer was more like computers today because it could do many different things, but it was still as big as a room. The Ferranti Mark I was much smaller. In 1951, it became the first computer which businesses could buy. It could do many helpful things like answering maths problems. It could also play Bar Black Sheep and Easy Chess, the first computer game. Through the 1950s and 1960s, computers became smaller and faster. This was thanks to new hardware, computer parts like microchips, and software, programs which tell computers what to do. In the 1970s, personal computers, PCs, became possible. In 1975, a business called Microsoft started selling computer programs which helped people to use computers more easily. More people started buying PCs. The next step was a PC which could travel. The first laptop computers came on the market in the early 1980s. In 1984, a business called Apple sold the first Apple PC, but the Internet was the biggest thing to happen in IT in the 1980s. By connecting computer networks round the world, the Internet made email and the World Wide Web possible. During the 1990s, the number of people using the Internet grew and grew. Then came the smartphone. The 2002 BlackBerry was the first. Then in 2007 came Apple's iPhone. The iPhone quickly became one of the world's best-selling smartphones. Who's who? How many websites and IT businesses do you know? If you spend time online, you will know a lot. But do you know the people who started them? Maybe not. In IT, you spend more time looking at screens than at the faces behind the screens. Many famous people in IT were just students when they started their websites and businesses. Most of them are now very, very rich. Bill Gates is one of the world's richest people. He started Microsoft, the business which is famous for making Windows software for PCs. Bill learnt about IT when his school's Mothers Club bought an early computer for the students. Steve Jobs made Apple famous round the world with the iPod, iPhone, and iPad. He also started Pixar, which made the film Toy Story. Steve liked technology from an early age. His dad taught him how to build radios and TVs. Tim Berners-Lee grew up with IT. His parents helped to build the Ferranti Mark I. Today, he is called a father of the Internet because he invented the World Wide Web. He made it free because he wanted all people, rich and poor, to use it. Larry Page and Sergey Brin helped us to find things on the World Wide Web. In 1998, they started the search engine Google. The name comes from Google, which is the number 1 followed by 100 zeros. Many websites help us to communicate with friends and have fun. But these websites do not always make money. Mark Zuckerberg started Facebook in 2005, and soon millions of people knew about it. But it was Sheryl Sandberg who made Facebook a big business. In 2008, Google and Facebook wanted to hire Sheryl. She chose Facebook. She put clever advertising on the website, and the business started to make money in just 2 years. Advertising also helps Yahoo and YouTube to make money. David Filo and Jerry Yang started Yahoo in 1994. They first named their website Jerry and David's Guide to the World Wide Web. Steve Chen, Chad Hurley, and Jawed Karim started a website for sharing videos in 2005. They called it YouTube. In 2013, people put about 72 hours of video onto YouTube every minute. The internet can make people rich and famous, but it can also hurt people. Danger. You love being online, but criminals also love being online. How do you know if a person is a criminal online? Do they look like this? No. People choose how they look on the internet. A criminal can choose a friendly picture. Do not believe everything you see on the internet. Online criminals steal money and identities, and the worst criminals want to hurt children. Always tell your parents if a new online friend wants to meet you. Cyberspace can be bad in other ways. Is it a good idea to sit in front of your computer all day? No. It is important to exercise and spend time outside. More and more children are getting fat because they do not move enough. Playing football is exercise. Playing computer games is not. It is also important to communicate outside of cyberspace. Talk to your friends. Do not always sit together playing on your phones. IT saves time, but it also wastes time. Many people look at Facebook or YouTube when they have work to do. Always do your work first. If you have no work to do, then why not read a book, make a cake, or throw a ball for your dog? Remember that 70% of the people in the world today do not have computers or smartphones which can take them to cyberspace, and they still have fun. The future. In IT, the question is always, what next? Computer scientists are working on new hardware and software all the time. Right now, scientists are trying to make IT more like the world outside of cyberspace. If you look at a photo of a carpet on your computer, can you feel it? No. You can touch the screen, but not the carpet. Scientists are working on screens which will let you feel what you are looking at. IT will become more important in medicine. There are already computers and robots which help with surgery. Maybe a robo-doc will save your life one day. There are wonderful things in the future of IT, but we must never forget that people are more important than technology. John F. Kennedy was the President of the USA in the early 1960s when IT started to grow. He said something very true. Man is still the most extraordinary computer.